Hi everyone, welcome to Cyberwitch, your online resource for spiritual development. My name is Orly. I have been working as a clairvoyant and psychic for almost 20 years. I'm a Gnostic bishop and I'm also in training as a yoga teacher where I study the different limbs of yoga, especially yoga philosophy, to help people gain spiritual strength and to help you understand how to get better control over your mind and to have a better and more evolved life. So today I want to share with you how to change your life, how to find purpose in life, and how to get in touch with your spiritual guides. So if that sounds good to you, please hit like and subscribe for new videos every week. This is one of the things that the people that I help with my tarot readings and with my spiritual coaching the most. So many people right now feel super lost, and regardless of how old you might be in your adulthood, I am finding people that are missing feeling an understanding of purpose in life. People are feeling super lost and confused, and maybe they have a cohesive spiritual practice. Maybe their spiritual practice has been underway for some time and it's just not working anymore. So I want to help address this issue today to help you figure out your purpose in life and to get in touch with your guides that will help you to figure out your true will, because this is actually a time in the overall world of energetic shifts, and it is a time of rebirth and growth for the world on a collective spiritual level. And if you are watching this, you are likely one of the people that's feeling the shift and want to take your awareness into a deeper understanding of the cosmic mind, of reality, and what's actually going on and how things work. And these are the areas that I heavily study and practice in what I've been learning and training in. So I'm really happy and excited to share these things with you to try to help you change your life, because I have changed my life so much, especially over the past decade and into my 30s. I've gone through so many shifts, and this is because of learning new things and applying them into practice. So I want to share with you the things that have actually helped me. And as you can see from the way that I've changed over time into a much healthier person that loves myself more and loves my life way more, and I feel like I have purpose and joy in life, and I want to be able to share that with you to help you to feel better and to feel spiritually stronger and to find your own unique and creative way of doing things. So it's really important to understand that we're going through an overall shift right now, and you are very likely feeling a heavy inclination to some kind of change in your life. And so I'm going to help you figure out how to reprogram your mind and figure out what that is so you can feel better and feel a sense of purpose. Because, like I said, this is really the number one issue that the people that come to me in my tarot readings or in my spiritual consultations for help about. And so I'm going to get into this. So in the yogic philosophy of the mind, we become a prisoner of karmic patterns. And what I mean by this is I believe in reincarnation. So even if you don't believe in reincarnation, I'll humor this with me along the way to understand it in maybe your own unique way and what fits into what makes sense to you. So we have patterns of the things that we like, the things that we want to do, the way that our mind works, the way we go about our day, the way our thoughts process, and all that jazz. It's the way that We've gone through our life following these particular patterns of how we do things, how we deal with things, how we think about things, and how we live our life. And so if you believe in reincarnation like I do, the idea here is these patterns are called samskaras, and they come from our past lives, and we find them again in this life. And it's the things that we're just naturally, instinctively inclined toward. And it's not just the choices we make or the things that we like, but the literal patterns of our mind. And even if you don't believe in reincarnation, you could look at this as being relevant to just your programming as you go through your life and what you've experienced and how that affects you in your mental capacity and how you process things, right? So the idea is these patterns are how our mind is set up. And if we are not doing helpful work on our own mind and our own experience of reality, our own spiritual work on ourselves, it's very easy to just get swept along into these patterns and just going with the flow and then having these same problems happen to us again and again. This is totally the kind of thing that people talk about if they're like constantly having the same sort of patterns in their relationships or problems in life, that even though they think they might be doing something different, it ends up having the same problems that occur over and over again because the deep inner patterns are not being recognized and realized and worked through. And it's not just about realizing what the patterns are in what you're doing to be able to change your life. Because obviously the first step is literally changing the patterns in some way. And that goes with how you live your life through the day, your literal daily patterns of what you're doing through the day, how you're living your day, changing how you do that in some way, adding something different that's going to be helpful and healing for you versus just doing what you feel like you're only capable of because of the patterns making you feel that way. But then also when you start learning and expanding your spiritual self and your connection to the cosmic mind, you will bring in new patterns, new karmas, new samskaras that are brought on by your spiritual connection, and those patterns will start literally changing your life and helping you realize your purpose and have a completely different sense of self that helps you and empowers you. For a lot of people, it can be so hard to even figure out the patterns of your mind and the patterns of your day. And this is why the yogis place so much importance on things like meditation. It's not just to access paranormal realms, but it's to understand the literal landscape of your mind so you can evolve and figure out how to understand yourself and how to understand your purpose in life. So this is actually a really advanced way of thinking about this philosophy of our mind and these mental patterns and what you can do to do things to slightly shift it step by step. So what I mean by this is, in a practical way, to follow this advice, what you would want to do is figure out what you're doing in your day that is essentially wasting your time. Things like worrying about stuff, doom scrolling, watching something that's not important, paying attention to things that you don't really need to do, and replacing that with just a small little bit of something that is going to enrich your life by learning, by reading, by doing something creative, doing some kind of spiritual practice, getting in touch with yourself through meditation, all those things, even in just like 10 or 20 minutes a day, adding that tiny little bit of something else in and forcing yourself to replace something that is not helping you with that in your time is the most valuable thing you can do in these type of concepts to literally get in touch with who you are and to figure out your purpose, because we spend so much time lying to ourselves, ignoring the messages that we're getting from the spiritual world all around us by all these distractions from the world, that it can be so helpful for people just to spend some quiet time with yourself to really think and to not be afraid of looking at who you really are and what you really need to do. And in spiritual practices, this leads me to another extremely important point that I need to talk about, which is this idea of people in occultism trying to micromanage their life with spirituality. And this is often literally connected to these exact patterns of what they're inclined to do from their samskaras of past karmic attractions that once again are leading them into these same patterns again and again, and not allowing people to discover who they are and keeping you essentially in a prisoner of where your life is in this plateau. And that's because of trying to micromanage everything and controlling things based on these same patterns of what you have been driven toward without working on growing your own self spiritually. So that is so important, because even if the spirits have been helping you before, they may not be helping you anymore. And this is often why people's things just don't work anymore. It's because you've drained all your energy in childish desires and are not working on how yourself is literally connected to everything from the cosmic mind, and realizing how important working on your own energy and evolution is versus putting all of your effort and energy by giving it to something else and trying to control things too much. So it's totally okay to ask for help when you need help. So go ahead and pray for help. Ask for help when you need help. That is okay. But if you're trying to control everything with your spirituality in your life, it's going to get in the way of your chance to grow and evolve, because you're trying to control everything and not seeing the greater picture and why these things are happening to you in the first place. Why are those problems happening to you in the first place over and over again? Because occultism is not going to stop those problems from happening just by asking for the spirits to help you every single time. It doesn't work like that. You have to evolve, and eventually the spirits will see that and not want to help you anymore. And so that is something that's really important to think about. What are the reasons that your spiritual practice is activating? And so the point is, this will help you discover your purpose in life when you are taking time to get to know yourself and the inner landscape of your mind and the thoughts you are thinking and why you are thinking those thoughts. And instead of allowing them to create your reality of who you are outside of your control, having active choices of your mental patterns and the things that are going on in your mind, which takes time and is, of course, hard. But all of this is the advanced forms of limbs of yoga, which is this idea of helping our mind to have more control over how we experience reality. So we'll just be more peaceful overall and be able to see and understand the spirit world that is literally communicating to you. Your guides are all around you. Everyone has them, especially when you discover what your deeper purpose is in life. You will always find that you have guidance, synchronicities, things like that, helping to show you the way to go. And this is really important to think about because, yes, of course, we have a degree of free will. And then there's also destiny working outside of that in the objective reality. So maybe it is your free will to pursue an intense spiritual practice toward a particular goal of evolution when that also coincides with your destiny. And so it's important to really just try to not fight that and understand, why are things happening to you? Don't become your own adversary in trying to spiritually fight the problems that you're having, but use it instead to realize, why am I having these problems over and over again? And ask for that guidance. And it's usually going to be about, what are we doing to self-sabotage ourselves by our choices and actions and the way that we're spending our time? Because over time, when you replace the habits that are unproductive with productive, you will learn something new and develop these different skills in yourself. So you will evolve, so you will have a better connection to things psychically and understand more about the frequencies in the world and what you're being guided toward. And a big part of this is completely rooted in our evolution and our growth. And so with this, we have to think about the really beautiful aspects of paganism in regards to learning from nature, the messages that are all around us that the mundane world distracts us from, with all this kind of stuff flowing around everywhere to lead us astray and to get us thinking about things that we don't need to be worrying about and focusing on, instead of getting to know our true selves and listening to nature and seeing what it's trying to communicate to us directly on a deep and profound spiritual level. And that will allow space in your mind for new things. And this also will help if you connect into other aspects of yourself, like your ancestors. So your ancestors aren't necessarily your literal, your literal ancestors from your family, because in reincarnation, that could be all different kinds of things, not even necessarily human, for example, or even of this earth. And when you connect into your ancestors, you're connecting into this aspect of yourself that's outside of linear time. So through that, you will inherently have access to guidance from forces that are helping you, your guides, because they are literally part of you and they are you in various ways. And they will help teach and guide you in life through things like synchronicities, dreams, visions as you go through the day. But all those things will start happening when you're able to change the patterns of your mind, so you don't have all those distractions of interference coming in from random stuff from the media, from people, from weird problems that are just coming up because maybe like your diet is unhealthy and it's creating these patterns of unwellness in your own mental self, and that leads to things like lethargy and all these kind of essentially vampiric forces, these archonic forces that feed off of people and try to keep people in these really low vibrational states of not being able to be aware of all the messages that are coming at you. And this is what we mean when we talk about raising yourself to the frequency of Lucifer, because that frequency is that understanding of what is going on. It is that Christ consciousness, if you want to call it that. It's bringing your awareness into a full sensation of knowing yourself and of what is going on truly in the area of reality that you're able to experience, which of course is full of illusions, but there is a degree of functioning in this world that we have to follow through. But in order to do that, we need to be able to have a certain degree of control over ourselves and not just being swept away in our emotions, in programming, in traumas, and all those things that control people and make people feel like they don't know who they are or they don't know what their purpose in life is and they can't figure that out. And so when we take time to change these patterns, literally, naturally, you will start to find what we call gnosis. And what that is a personal spiritual experience where the cosmic mind communicates itself to you and it helps you feel that deeper connection outside of yourself to everything else and understand how you are being guided and you are not alone because the whole universe is part of you and with you and acts as a personal voice and guide to you when you're able to strip away all those distractions and take time to replace the things in your daily life in small little bits with things that you yourself know are a better use of your time. And thus, it will help you to figure out your true purpose because you're actually taking time to invest in yourself and your life and getting to know yourself instead of just being swept away in things. And so even though a lot of these things you can think about as being very basic understanding, most people don't think about things on these levels. And this is actually very advanced in order to actually change your entire life around in these little steps. So I hope that helps you figure out more about how to find your purpose and how to change your life. And before we go, I did want to show you one of the things that I have just finished for my art project. This is a painting that I created for a private collector of the Roman goddess Lua Saturni, and she is the goddess of weapons that have been offerings from war as well as rebirth and decay. And this was such a fun project for me to work on. I really loved working on this painting. And then I also sculpted the frame for her. There are pearls and then there's also a ruby in the frame. And what's so cool about this frame is that I made it out of foam clay. So even though it looks like rather fragile, they're actually kind of soft, almost like tentacles. So the frame actually stands up on its own as an altarpiece for the collector that I created it for. And I just wanted to share this new piece of art with you guys because I had so much fun working on this painting. And I just think that power of creativity is so important. So I wanted to help inspire you in your own practice with whatever is your creative inclination. And so if you would like to learn more about my artwork or to get in touch with me for any of my work as a psychic, as a tarot reader, or if you want direct help from me with spiritual counseling or to check out my online classes, all that stuff is linked in the description of this video for you as a resource. Thank you so much to all of my channel members and my patrons. Please subscribe if you're new and hit like to help the channel grow with the algorithm. And I'll see you next time. Bye.